The coalition is only as strong as its members. Let's be honest about some of the members of this coalition. Hey, shout out to all of our new subscribers and members here on the channel. My name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Occasionally I receive an email that is so thought-provoking that I actually want to respond at length, and that is what I'm going to do here. I received the following email, and I've taken the liberty to disguise the author so that you guys know that sending me a message is a safe space. The message starts, "This is a troubling email to write, and it's going to be long, but hear me out. I first want to point out that I'm no conspiracy theorist, but something stinks. Trump received approximately the same amount of votes as 2020 when he lost. Now this time he receives a mandate, and when he has not increased his followers, which leads me to believe that voter purges, intimidation, and suppression work." Okay, as far as the voter purges and intimidation and voter suppression, we saw this well in the lead up to Election Day, and it's something that I definitely saw fit to cover right here.
They scared the hell out of me.
87-year-old Lydia Martinez says she was among those targeted by the search warrants. The longtime LULAC member helped senior citizens register to vote.
I feel that they're going to stop a lot of us from going out and doing our work, and that's what they want.
She said officers questioned her for hours, confiscated her phone and computer, and made her wait outside as they searched her home.
I said, "Let me get dressed." And she said, "No."
The email continues. Now, I agree that the black community came out strong and that other blocks of voters who should have didn't. Many of you say that enough wasn't done and you feel let down, and I agree. I don't know what the reason is for so many to not realize the stakes that were involved in this election. Well, there's one or two ways that you can read that. One is that people didn't realize the stakes that were involved in this election, and the other is that they knew very well the stakes that were involved in this election, and they acted in their own best interest, their base interest. But as far as you say the other blocks of voters who didn't do enough, that's something that we've been deconstructing ever since Election Day. We've talked about Latino voters.
In what way do you think they're different?
The people that are coming here are the criminals, you know? The ones that did something bad in their country, they're running away from their law.
Despite having close family members who are undocumented,
migrant invasion.
They don't believe they'll end up in Trump's crosshairs. When you hear Trump promise mass deportations, do you worry about them?
Yes and no, because the ones that I know, they're doing good. They're not breaking any law.
We've talked about the uncommitted.
Layla, you obviously were one of the co-founders of the uncommitted movement, which began in Michigan, picked up hundreds of thousands of votes in the primaries across the country.
I don't think that we would be in this moment where it was going to be so close.
We've talked about women.
Hey, white women, sorry to rain on the pity parade, but if you're talking about the 4B movement, because apparently misogyny is a new problem, you should know that between 2020 and 2024, Trump gained 1 percentage point of men and 2 percentage points of women. So there is a new problem, and the call's coming from inside the high school friend group. I think the 5th B stands for Becky.
I've even talked about the white men without a college degree, and how if we were considered a voting bloc because we saw things a certain way, whereas those without a college degree saw things a different way, that would strike me as a little suspicious. We have covered a lot of these different groups, but this email continues. Here's what's troubling me now. This is a time when we should stick together and become a tight-knit, stronger community to be ready for whatever is coming. Any support shown, no matter how small or insignificant or stupid, should show that there is a strong coalition of people that they will have to contend with. on a lot of my black feeds, there is blanket of you all voted for this, and I made this channel for the black community. You didn't do enough. Don't leave comments on my channel, and typing BLM does not make you an ally. Remember, BLM refused to endorse Kamala because she was installed as a candidate without a primary, Lord's name in vain. Latinos that voted for Kamala are being eviscerated. White women who want to show solidarity are being told to stop. I'm sorry, I donated, I voted, spent my weekends in a call center, set up a carpool with some people to help get those without the ability to get to the new polling stations. I live in a blood red state. My mailbox has been run over, and I'm treated like S at work because I'm not part of the good old boys clique and don't appreciate inappropriate comments. I'm an old, long-haired hippie, and although I did not suffer any of the horrific S that you've had to put up with, I've had experience with ignorance. Okay. He lays down a lot here, and he doesn't mention my channel and my feed specifically with regards to this behavior, but talks about feeling ostracized on some of his other black feeds after the election. Now, what I can tell you I can start with the one comment about I created this for black people. And I can tell you that I created my channel indirectly for black people because I speak to a black experience. And those are issues that affect black people are the ones that are the first ones for me to want to try to address. Now, granted, things that affect everybody also affect black people. So that if you look at my whole timeline, you look at all my videos, they're not all specific to that, but that generally is, if there was a subset category of it, that's what it would be. I say indirectly because it's not directly for black people, because I understand there's a lot of intersectionality and the same thing inside me that is askew when it comes to black treatment in America also is triggered by the treatment of other disenfranchised groups. Also, and this might be the main point of distinction, is I understand how necessary allies are. And I understand how little we can do without the cooperation of allies. Every group needs allies. I said this during my live. Every group needs allies, other than maybe straight white men. But Latinos need allies, black people need allies. Women actually don't need allies because they are a greater portion of the population. They have seemed to not realize that. So because they seem to not realize that, and there's so many pick-me's that operate against their own best interests, they also need allies. What I can say with regards to the experiences that you've had on other channels, while I didn't react that way to the election, I understand that reaction. I absolutely understand that reaction. And I don't feel appalled that they had that reaction. I really don't. I talked about how after the election, I was really moved by how graceful Kamala Harris conducted herself. And I also talked about talking to my mother and how she had spent so much time and energy, and now she's on the precipice of seeing a black woman take over the White House, and to have it be, to have her identity repudiated in such a way for a man like Donald Trump. She actually handled it extremely gracefully. And what I didn't take into consideration was that she had all of this experience as a black woman in America. I looked at it as, because of all these experiences that you've had, how horrific this must be. But I don't consider how primed she is for how disappointing America can be to somebody that has lived her life. Bringing that to this scenario, while that wasn't my reaction, at least on camera, while that wasn't my reaction, anybody that internalized what happened on election day, for us to, in many instances, take more issue with how you're being treated than you do. We saw that with regards to the Latino community. Only for so many of them to turn around and decide, you know what, we appreciate that you stand up and you advocate for us, but you can't lead us. When you've been overlooked for opportunities, not given the same pay, whatever the case may be, when that's your personal experience, and you have an election where a woman with Kamala Harris's resume can be overlooked for Donald Trump, who literally set out to do everything he possibly could to disqualify himself, and still that's not enough. There was nothing that he could say that would disqualify him. There's nothing that he could threaten or promise that would disqualify him. There's no association he had with other problematic people that could disqualify him. But we are nitpicking each and everything that Kamala Harris says and does, and everybody who she appears with, and everybody in her life. When you have had those personal experiences and you see it happen on such a large stage, and you get that reinforcement of how America sees you and how they feel about you, and the ceilings that they set up for you. When you have that reinforced, how should somebody react? How should somebody react to that? Because in an interpersonal, if it was an interpersonal thing, you would say, you know what? I'm gonna give them space to process it. But because this happens on such a large stage, we're not given that space. Now, this is how I see it as a fellow black man. I perhaps shouldn't expect you to internalize that immediately. But this is what I'm saying to you, is that wasn't my reaction. It's almost like Chris Rock. That was not my reaction, but I understand.
And I'm not saying he should have killed her, but I understand.
I definitely understand. No question, I understand. Now, as far as me, I'm somebody, I work from home, and my sense of community is largely the one that I built here on my channel. So while I'm working my way through all of the emotions associated with what happened on election day, I lean on my community, and I welcome anybody to be a part of that community, and I am loath to say and do things to make people feel ostracized from that community. You are right that there are people that put in a lot of work and have been solid allies up to this point. But what election day meant wouldn't be the same for you. Some things we all will feel and experience as a result of the incoming administration, certainly if 2025 comes to fruition. But in terms of what it meant personally, right? In terms of that sense of letdown and that sense of rejection and that sense of loneliness for a black community that has been 10 toes down for so many people, so many other groups, to feel abandoned in this moment, I have the gratitude for your allyship. But let's be honest about the fact that the stakes and the meaning of what happened on election day aren't the same. Okay? People process that different ways. I happen to not process it in some of the comments that you made. I didn't process it that way, but I get it. I get it. And the last thing that I would do is to try and tell another black creator how they should feel when they spent all this time and energy trying to spread the word for them, for us, but also for other groups, and have them turn around and say, yeah, but you can't lead us. I won't do that. I won't do that. And I would ask you to give the same grace that you would give somebody had that happen in an interpersonal relationship. Now, whether or not that coalition is rebuilt, how things look moving forward between the black community and the Latino community and women at large, that's a good example. Is I've said time and time again, I believe that sexism alone cost Hillary the 2016 election. You give me the anti-Clinton people that have hated the Clintons. You give me the Hillary's emails and Comey. You give me Russian interference. You give me all of that. You give me all of that. You can't tell me that a white man with Hillary Clinton's resume wouldn't have won in 2016. He would have overcame all of that in 2016. Okay? Now, if that was the reaction that I received and that I saw from female creators after that 2016 election, I would understand. I would understand if that was the reaction that I saw in 2016. Allyship is important. Allyship is actually going to be the thing, to the point that you made about trying to build this coalition. You're 100% right about that. That is going to be our salvation, is building and maintaining that coalition. We have to be honest about the state of that coalition. We can't just ignore the fact that you have members of that coalition that are only willing to do so much and look side-eyed at some of the other members of that coalition. You have to be, the coalition is only as strong as its members. Let's be honest about some of the members of this coalition. Yes, we still have a long way to go. But this type of reaction to people who want the same as you is only doing what the Kirks and Fuentes want. I'm assuming he's talking about Nick Fuentes. Drive a wedge between blacks and the whites and others who support them. It makes me sick to even type that. Personally, don't see color. I see people and treat everyone how I would want to be treated until proven otherwise. I've decided to give back and not invade your space. To all the black community channels where I used to feel welcome, and will concentrate on what best to do for my immediate family to survive the S-storm. Now, as far as you saying this type of reaction to people who want the same as you is only doing what the Kirks and Fuentes want, what would be the appropriate reaction? I'm going to ask you the same question now as I asked earlier. What would be the appropriate reaction for what happened on Election Day? You know, what is the appropriate reaction? As far as doing what the Kirks and Fuentes want, I don't think that they had a ton of control or a hand in people's unwillingness to follow a black woman. And that's what was revealed. I mean, the wild double standard that we saw all throughout 2024 is what was revealed. So, I mean, I don't think they had anything to do with that. I don't think that highlighting, you know, it's funny because I actually just had a video that I posted flagged because it was deemed as hateful, when in reality I was actually posting to spread awareness about what had gone down in Columbus. I don't think that calling attention to something and being aware of something, which is there's some realities in this coalition that have shown themselves. I don't think being aware of that and responding accordingly is harmful, because ignoring it doesn't make it go away. If you want to build a coalition, it's got to be built on truth. I mean, how strong is the coalition if we just pretend, but meanwhile we move forward with suspicion and side eye at some of the other people in the coalition because we remember what happened? You got to work that out. And this is the first step of working that out. It says drive a wedge between blacks and the whites, others who support them. Now, there will be a time for delineation and there will be a time for nuance. That wasn't immediate. I don't know about you, but I don't know anybody showing nuance immediately after a traumatic event. You ain't no whole lot of nuance, but there will be time. There will be time for that. He said, personally, I don't see color. I see people and treat everyone how I would want to be treated until proven otherwise. Now, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but the I don't see color is not, that's not it. That's not it. I've recorded a number of videos about this, not in a while, actually, not since really the channel has grown to a much larger size. It's not about not seeing color. It's about what you associate with that color. Because if you don't see color, then that means that you reject the real life experiences that I've had, many of which are associated with my color. Just because you don't see color doesn't mean he doesn't see color, doesn't mean she doesn't see color. And them seeing color, right? And the way that they deal with me because they see color, you can't process because you don't see color. So it's not about not seeing color. It's about not bringing these preconceived notions that you associate with that color. And just maybe not seeing color and not fully processing the reality that other people are walking away with affected your reaction to these black creators after the election. I don't think that is a long way to go with that one. He said, I've decided to give back and not invade your space to all the black community channels where I used to feel welcomed and will concentrate on what best to do for my immediate family and to survive the S-storm. As far as you saying that you didn't want to invade the space to all the Black community channels where you used to feel welcome, look, if you feel unwelcome because of how they reacted, I think you taking some time and some space probably is good. You also, because I'm pretty sure that as a creator, I can't call on people, right? People have to inject themselves into the conversation. All of this participation is voluntary. So it's always a possibility that you can stay there and listen. That's also something that's open to you. I can tell you on my particular channel, I don't actually know the races of most of the regular participants on my channel. Most of them have colors and little insignias. I don't actually even know the races of most people who participate on my channel. I assume a lot of them are Black. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. But they all share a interest in the upliftment of Black people and other disenfranchised communities, right? And as long as you share that, you good with me. Now, that's not to say I'm not gonna have any bad. I might wake up tomorrow on some, on some of the stuff that you mentioned. I might. Maybe it comes in waves. I might. And you know what? If that happened, I would only ask that the people that have been watching me and the people that have been enjoying my content would have seen enough from me to know where I'm coming from with that. Those channels don't need me to speak for them. I'm not speaking for them. They can speak for themselves. These are all creators. We all in this. They're creators, same as I am. I don't think that an immediate reaction after something as infuriating as that should be defining. I wouldn't want it to be for me. I'm just taking it one day at a time and loving and appreciating all of the people that have shown me love before the election, during, we did a 7-hour live, and after the election. And I'm just going to ride with that. I'm just going to ride with that. I appreciate the email, and I appreciate the thoughts that were associated with the email. You obviously gave me a lot of things to process that I wanted to get off my chest, and I wouldn't have been able to do that in the way that I did without you sending that email. So I very much appreciate that. If you guys have any thoughts, of course, email me, reese@reesewaters.com. And also, if you enjoy this format, if you feel like I should do more of these, let me know in the comments, and or send me an email. Much appreciated. And as always, shout out to all of the new subscribers and all of the members here on the channel.